Demonstrators at UT Austin joining other college students across the country today protesting Israel's war with Hamas and demanding that their schools cut financial ties with Israel.
Demanding that they divest. Shut up. I just want to make sure that I reiterate this because I saw this going on yesterday when people were saying, hey, how are these protests obviously aren't spontaneous on campus. Correct. How is this coming? Where's the funding coming from? Well, go watch our previous installment on it. It's terrorist organizations, the government of Qatar. We trace the money. We told you. So if you're watching this now and saying, all right, this isn't spontaneous, just remember, these people would not be out there protesting, disrupting your events on campus, if not for money that comes from organizations with terrorist ties and the government, Qatar, who is the single biggest foreign donor to American universities as far as the country. Also, the home front for Hamas, their headquarters.
Yeah.
So I just want to preface all of this. That's the premise. You know, go check those references. That's exactly what's happening. And now you see it going on. You know, it happened at Harvard, happened at UT. So a couple of things to remember. Free speech is a constitutionally protected God-given right. I actually would even defend the right of students to simply say, I don't like Jews, which effectively is what some of them are doing, what all of them are doing. The issue is harassing. It's blocking other students from getting to their classes, obstructing traffic, right? Those are crimes. So I want to be clear, it's a very consistent argument. It's the same thing when we talk about big tech. And people say, oh, it's a private business. No, they benefit from the government, Section 230. It's about transparency. It's about free speech. Yeah. And it's already a crime, by the way, to yell fire in a crowded theater. If there's no fire and you're deliberately trying to harm people, it's already a crime to obstruct traffic. It is not a crime to say something that people don't agree with. Are we clear on that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Good. I feel like some people are kind of missing the point.
They absolutely are.
And it's not at all anti-Semitism. Now, it is for them. These people are anti-Semitic. If you look at the funding, they actually do want to eradicate Jews, and they hand out flyers with the phrase, death to America. You can check our previous episodes to see that. All references are available. That's not the issue. The issue is crime and violence. So, before we get into UT, what happened at Austin, the media lies, which is just, at a certain point, you can just, anytime there's a protest, you can be guaranteed they will say it was peaceful. And if they're liberals, you can almost be guaranteed to know that it's not true. Let's start with this. Speaker Mike Johnson, who's disappointing right now, spoke at Columbia, and he called on the president there to resign.
We just can't allow this kind of hatred and anti-Semitism to flourish on our campuses, and it must be stopped in its tracks. Those who are perpetrating this violence should be arrested. And I'm here today joining my colleagues and calling on President Shafiq to resign if she cannot immediately bring order to this chaos. As Speaker of the House, I am committing today that the Congress will not be silent as Jewish students are expected to run for their lives and stay home from their classes hiding in fear.
Also, you made a good point there. It was about the chaos. It was about the crime. It's about the violence. The less that Republicans use the term anti-Semitic, the more effective you'll be. Not saying that doesn't exist and not saying that a lot of these people don't hate Jews. Of course they do if they support Hamas. However, becomes white noise. Talk about the crime. That's what's most important. And as it relates to Columbia, we had some boots on the ground there. The truth is, we're going to get to Austin where it was a little spicier. Columbia just got pretty gay. Kind of?
We don't actually know what to do with us. We have hundreds of people in this space daily. They really need the space for commencement, even to the point that they would be willing to offer us an alternative. That's how much I want this space.
The proposal
is no big press.
is no big press.
Details with politicians.
Details with politicians.
But we don't police the type of posts they make and accept the support with the understanding Oh, thank God. with the understanding that politicians that don't like us, don't agree with our community agreements, etc., are gonna kind of do whatever anyways. Yeah? Okay, so all hands in favor of that proposal? All right, hands down, all opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Vote passes. Thank you for the clarification. Cool.
By the way, that's the least clear clarification ever.
They're just pretending at this point. They're just acting like protesters. They saw it somewhere in a movie, and they're like, I think this is what you do. You get together,
right,
and you repeat after somebody, which is really weird. It's like, and we're going to kill Sarah, and we're going to kill Sarah. Like, you can just make these people do whatever
I'm
you
Sarah.
want. Yeah. Sarah says it, you know, like, and we're going to kill God, that's
no.
I love I love so much about that clip. I love that she forgot the speech and then just
read it
gave
all,
up trying to
like,
get them to
screw
repeat the
it.
chant. They're all like, we're not gonna repeat the rest, all of that. We're all too dumb.
I got it from here.
And I also love that they don't actually care. They just
don't vote.
They just want to fight. They're so starved for attention and confrontation. They're like, okay, they're kind of cool with our protest. I don't know what to do next. They said that they need the space. They really want it. Not enough to come out here. They offered us another space that we could also go to and protest.
I think they have donuts. Oh, yeah, okay, hands up donuts. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, everybody wants
They have a place with air conditioning and they have free water and coffee. That's so fucking gay, dude.
Were there any other hands aside from our journalists?
I don't know.
Probably.
But apparently enough
There
for
had
motion
to
to
be.
pass.
There had to be.
By the way, you guys also need to be aware of this. Whenever they say, hey, they're trampling on our free speech, these same Students for Justice for Palestine, right? There's the Youth Palestine Committee Coalition, all these organizations. You can go to their social media profiles and see them constantly demanding the banning of anyone on campus with whom they disagree. They don't want any speakers who they accuse of being Zionists, just
Free
people
speech.
who support Israel's right to exist. They don't want any speakers who they think are right-wing. And then they say, we have the right to speak, while they block traffic. Whenever you hear the left say free speech, you know it's not true.
Right.
Whenever you hear them say Constitution, you know it's not true. Whenever you hear them say freedom of choice, you know it's not true because it only applies at that moment in time and never at any other. And by the way, in Austin, though, things got not only more contentious, but the media, of course, tried to carry the water. And you can send your tips to lwctips@protonmail.com. We are tracking some leads down right now. That wasn't really the undercover thing. It was just kind of, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just gay. And you know what you're saying? Is it pejorative? Mm-hmm. So
Let's take a vote. Who thinks that we should just pack up and go back to class?
I don't like class.
All right, well, I guess we'll just hang out.
I like it better when I'm not going to class.
That's why I paid for this.
Yeah.
My dad paid for it.
Yeah.
Or the taxpayer.
And I'll get it forgiven after, right? We're still getting our loans forgiven, right? That's what I want. If I want to have to pay back or not pay back, I vote not paying back the money. Right?
Yeah, I'm in.
Show of hands? Cool. Oh, yeah, and kill the Jews and stuff. So let's go to UT Austin, in our home state of Texas. And this is where you had pro-Hamas students and non-students, of course, gathered there. Here's a clip.
Demonstrators at UT Austin joining other college students across the country today protesting Israel's war with Hamas and demanding that their schools cut financial ties with Israel.
By the way, this is just a small kind of overlooked fact, demanding that they divest. Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay? This is what you see these kids going, it's just so we're seeing that the student body, that we're not being heard, as though you pay taxes, as though you're actually the customer. And I get you'd say, yeah, but let's be honest. It's either your parents in most cases or the government who's actually the customer because they're paying the bill. What gives you the right to tell someone else what to do with their money? What authority do you think you have? This is the complete misunderstanding of democracy or a representative republic. They have no idea. Let's just start with that. We demand. No.
Don't demand.
No, we're done. We're done here. Okay, go. You're blocking traffic because of something that you have no right to demand in the first place. So let's
It's also a dumb request. Divest from what? They did the same thing at Columbia. Basically, that was one of their things. Like, you have to divest from all things Israel, basically. And I'm like, so if there's a Jewish person involved in this company or in this organization or in this fund, I can't make money?
Right.
Do you know how limiting that will be?
Right.
And it doesn't make any sense to begin with.
Because there are so many Jews in business.
No, it's a stupid request. It's like...
Because there are so many Jews in business.
It's like in Die Hard, where he's like, in the 7 members of the Crimson Dawn, I read about them in Time magazine. Like, it's like somebody gave him a list to say, make sure they divest from all that stuff they get money from Israel. Like, well, you're an idiot.
It's like, look, how about a compromise? Okay. We get to hit you with pepper spray and beanbag bullets, and we'll stop buying Manischewitz wine for the quad.
Hey,
everyone's happy.
Seems fair.
Manischewitz wine is not very good.
No more gefilte fish in the cafeteria, and we get to hit you with rubber bullets.
Yeah.
I think everyone, this is a fair compromise where nobody is happy.
We'll aim for the torso.
Yes.
This is horse shit. There's no more hummus in the cafeteria. Yeah, remember last week, Sarah?
Yeah. We all protested.
Jews eat hummus? Where do you think Israel is? I thought it Poughkeepsie. So, here's the claim that the media made regarding UT Austin. All the references are publicly available. Okay, it's not just about the protests. It's about your enemy is not, just to be clear to these students, it's not who is in the White House. I've talked about this in the past. When I was at Fox News for years, I said, the problem is if a Republican comes into office, then we're not the opposition media, so that's not as good of a place to be financially. These conversations took place. I said, wait, you think that you're opposing Washington, D.C. and not Hollywood, New York, ad agency? No. It's about the media, entertainment, political, industrial complex. They carry the water for these. These students are just useful pawns. So their claim is it was all peaceful. Okay. My problem is with the media echoing that. The truth, no, it wasn't.
Police Department. Your conduct is a violation of Penal Code Sections 4203, obstructing a highway or the passageway. I command you in the name of the people of the state of Texas to disperse. And if you do not, you shall be arrested for the violation of the Penal Code as well as the Texas Penal Code for criminal trespass.
Pretty clear.
Afuera! Afuera! Afuera!
Did you see that one guy losing his? I don't think we have the clip, guys. You can pull it. The one guy losing his mind, going down the row of cops. I have you. You haven't paid. He's like, all right, thanks for your support.
Back the blue? No.
Let's take the numbers 9, 1, and 1. Well,
Yes.
the ones it's only one number. Let's take them off your phone.
Yeah, let's take him off the phone.
Yes.
Good,
won't
I
need
said
that.
the 1, 1.
It's hard to do digitally. I
Yeah.
mean, you could use like a I don't know, like a hammer, like a mallet and a nail to take out those specific places. But they could probably get an app where they could have 911
Audio.
Forget I said it.
No, it's good in theory.
Yeah, well.
It's good in theory. The principle's the same.
I was thinking a rotary phone, but
So they and here's it's not about what you're saying. You're breaking the law when you're obstructing people's freedom of movement. They're trying to get to class. This is what happened in the 60s. We'll get to Kent State in a second. Everyone else at Kent State was super pissed off because of the riots, because they were trying to attend classes and it was being disrupted. And we've seen this happen across the country. We've seen what's happened at Columbia, at NYU, at Harvard, which became incredibly violent. And they said, we're not going to do this at UT. We are not going to allow this to escalate to that point because you know what happens? When you allow it to escalate, it gets more violent. The police gave them an opportunity to disperse. They didn't. So this comes from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education, right? And this is the nation's leading student protest advocacy group. They said, the police or college can remove and possibly punish you for disruptive activity, like blocking traffic or interrupting classes.
And that's what it's good that you had that in the FAQ.
So good.
that's clear.
So we're done here. We're clear. Here's another claim that they extended it not only to students, and I want you to comment below. Because if I have a blind spot, then I genuinely want to know. It seemed like some people actually bought this line of what I would refer to as horseshit. They were saying that the police they're being so abusive, they're even arresting innocent journalists. And then when I saw the clip, I said, wait, are you watching the same thing I am? But this is their claim first.
Who are you with?
I'm with Fox 7.
Fox 7? What's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos, what do you think of this?
I think it's, they were pushing me, and they say that I hit an officer. I didn't hit an officer. They were pushing. You know what I mean?
Okay,
They were
Carlos.
pushing me.
Okay, I want to skip ahead to the clip MSM arrest because he said that, and then of course the media Fox 7 implied, or they tried to make you think that the police were just sweeping up journalists along with the lawbreakers indiscriminately.
We were up here closer to the protest. The DPS has just pushed all of these protesters off of the grass in the middle of the plaza here. And as they were doing that, one of the Fox 7 photographers got caught up in that. And they did put him in handcuffs. They took his gear and him. And that photographer is in this van here to be transported, assumedly, to jail.
So let's be clear here, because you're about to see the clip. And you're going to say, well, maybe at that point in time, people didn't know. Well, he knew. He knew. Yeah. Carlos knew. And he said, I wasn't pushing an officer. I wasn't hitting an officer. I was pushed. Okay, they say he was pushed, right? He got swept up in it. Now, here's the truth. And seldom do you actually have verifiable claims, and in my opinion, get to witness that they are completely false. He clearly, aggressively, if not hit, assaulted, pushed into an officer with no one behind him forcing his hand. There he is. There he is. No one behind him. Sees a cop. There you go. No one behind him. Boom. Let's slow that down. All right, here you go. There you go. There he is. No one behind him. Who's pushing him? And then officer, and then
It's like he lifted his camera up and shoved it into the officer.
Yeah. And he's doing it for a while before another.
Yeah, it took a second before the officers gave him a second. Yeah. They're like, oh, maybe it's an accident. No, he's pushing.
Yeah.
He's not charging. What's the pushing the line? Like, yeah.
He was even out of the line. Like the officers had gone past him. There was literally nothing going on. For the first frame, he was kind of in the mix, and then he moves back to get out of it. The officers are kind of going past him. Then he's like, hey, I'm going to re-engage. Go up
and by the way, he's not engaging. He can't get a shot. The camera is on the helmet.
Yeah.
So you again, imagine this is you with your camera phone. Would you think that you could do that to an officer from behind, consequence-free? Is this poor innocent little Carlos, as the media has portrayed it? Or do you think that this guy is a professional instigator, sorry, piece of shit, who just for this time happened to get caught? Here's another view from the cameraman. Oh, that's right. It's his camera. Did he make contact with the officer? There he is.
It's so clear.
Let's play it again, and then I want to go back to that slow-mo, okay? Because watch this. Let's count how long he's making contact with the officer. Because here's the thing. It's very important. No one is pushing him. So if no one is pushing him, your job as a photographer, as he's labeled, is to get the shot. How do you get a shot if you are up on helmet, shoulder, torso? What shot are you trying to get? What footage are you trying to get? No one pushed you there. That's irrefutable. So is this some kind of new Dutch cabinet of Dr. Caligari angle that I'm not quite used to? Let's play it again and let's count how long he's making contact with the officer.
You want it slow-mo first?
Let's play that one real speed. That
real
last
speed,
one from his
here we
angle. Okay, and right there, pushes it in. 1.
There's a hand
2,
on his back too.
3, 4. All right. Call it 4 to 5 seconds of making contact, and that officer's not looking. He doesn't know what that hard object is.
And also, this is a very tense situation with protesters. He has no idea what's going on other than he is trying to move people back, and he's getting pushed from behind, pushed from behind, pushed from behind for 4 seconds at least, and finally turns around and does the reasonable thing and says, whoever's pushing me from behind, I got to get them off of me.
Right.
I can't fight a battle on 2 fronts.
So 4 seconds, let's go back to that slow-mo, and you tell me the reason for doing that. I think that's, let's play the slow-mo portion
here we
of
go,
it.
about 60% of it.
All right. So,
there we go.
no, sorry, can we do the slow-mo, the other one where we have the other shot with the circle?
Yeah. Slow-mo.
If you do slow-mo on that one too, you'll see a hand come up and grab the officer's back pouch.
Yeah.
Like, I would assume it's a camelback pouch, but you can see a hand grab his
By the way, they didn't beat his ass. They got him off of the guy.
And arrested
him.
They might have done some camera damage, but
yeah.
And he'll probably get off scot-free.
They didn't baton him. They didn't tase him.
So 4 to 5 seconds. Do we all agree? 4 to 5 seconds where he's making contact, where he could not possibly get any kind of footage on his camera. Now let's see, why would he do that? Again, was he pushed as he claimed in the media did? Okay, who's pushing him? Anyone behind him?
Maybe the big hip lady's bag?
Nope.
Nope.
Nothing. And then 4 seconds of contact and shoving. Until he gets
another
pulled
officer
off.
Sees it, pulls him. There you go.
Which I would argue is incredibly gentle.
There you go.
That's just my point.
You know what Carlos could have said? I tripped.
Yeah.
If that's really what happened, Carlos, I tripped. Nobody pushed you from behind. And by the way, that is the most reasonable thing to happen, and for the mainstream media to run out with. They're arresting journalists at UT Austin protests. It's like, no, just watch the film.
Well, yeah.
Nobody will. They'll just keep running with it.
I like to give the benefit of the doubt, especially with a journalist. I want to give him, the benefit of the doubt. Things happen. Chaos is happening. It's just hard. It's really hard to believe that he went to pushing. I don't think he felt someone pushing him. I don't think he tripped. I want to say maybe he's trying to get a good shot. He's trying to get really close in on there. But even if that's the case, you can't cry about it afterwards. Like, oh, I didn't do anything. Like, you got to be like, yeah, shit, I accidentally ran into a cop. What happened? I got too close.
I got too close.
I got too close, and cops did what they do.
Yeah.
Protect themselves and their squad.
Yeah. Because I don't unilaterally back the blue. I do not think that was an abuse of it. That was as far as he knew, an active, immediate threat. And I think this matters because I think this guy is lying. But you also have to allow for some leeway here of some misunderstandings. If you're an officer, you're going in, that's a big part of what happened at Kent State. You just know National Guard went out and murdered kids. No, that's not what happened. Tragedy, sure. But what happened if you know about the days of rioting and buildings being burned down and police being on edge? I would imagine that this cop probably on edge, and so I think his friend coming in to help him and just horse collaring him, hey, I think that's actually
doing his
pretty
job.
appropriate.
Like, you're supposed to have the back of those people in the front line. Otherwise, they get swarmed and they get taken away. You remember in the Chicago protest, the Summer of Love stuff, where cops were literally dragged into the protesters and the other police couldn't get to them? You have to make sure that those people have your back.
And I've lived this on the flip side, right? At the Lansing Right to Work protest, where guy obviously sucker punched me on national television. He had 10 union members follow me to my car, say they were going to kill me with a gun. You hear them on camera saying they're going to kill me with a gun. And the media came out and said, oh, Stephen Crowder pushed him first. But the footage clearly shows he's falling into me.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to say he tripped and thought that I pushed him because he was drunk and I was getting soused off of secondhand vapors, fine. The media never corrected it. And you had a liberal DA there.
Yeah.
Nothing ever came of it. And I had gigabytes of footage that was never even submitted as evidence for a deposition I didn't know about and wasn't even there. That happened. You need to know that the media sets the tone for the law. And sometimes you have DAs, sometimes you have prosecutors who are looking for evidence to say, okay, there's nothing here. Or they're looking for evidence to convict. This cop this is police brutality. Why? Because, look, everyone's reported on it. And they will cite media. They will cite New York Post. They will cite the Lansing Journal. They will cite the Austin Chronicle as evidence. So let's be really clear about that. Here's the other claim that you see with these protests. And they try and draw these comparisons, and then they fit in a comparison that is actually completely incomparable. They'll say, this is just like Tiananmen Square.
Right. Exactly the same. Wait, the Tiananmen Square, what?
Yeah.
Do we have the footage of the tank running over the kids?
So here's the truth.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's not Tiananmen. It's not even Kent State, which also isn't even Kent State as you think you know it.
Gosh.
But here's actually some footage from Tiananmen Square.
Oh, there's tanks.
Yeah. So tanks and 10,000 students were killed in Tiananmen Square.
Jeez.
10,000. And by the way, while you're out there protesting, I don't know if you know this, still the same Communist Chinese Party, the government, I don't know if it's still gross violations of human rights. I don't know where the protests are on campus. You can look at all these activist groups on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah.
You could still actively fight against the de facto government of Tiananmen Square. 10,000 students killed in Austin. A journalist who shoved a cop was arrested, and we don't even know if he's going to be convicted. This isn't even Kent State, to be clear. And just to give you some context, there are all references available at louderwithcrowder.com. We put the link in the description. What do you know about Kent State? What do you know about Kent State? You probably know about, I believe it was 12 or 13 seconds and 60-something rounds being fired and people. And yep, horrible, just to be clear, that students died. No one wants that to happen. But are you aware, why was the National Guard sent in there? Because a lot of people look back and go, back then, you just had a fascist like Nixon, and it was all peaceful protest. Not like these kids today, right? I didn't leave the Democrat Party. They left me. No. Kent State, The reason the National Guard was sent in was because there was 3 days of rioting.
Wow.
There was looting, there were fires, including, by the way, multiple attempts, and then a final successful one, burning down the campus ROTC building. Rounds were being fired off throughout the night because they were storing ammo there. The kids burned it down. The mayor, actually, at that point, tried to put a curfew in place, basically told stores that they can no longer sell liquor. And because, like, so what? We can't get wasted now? Which I think is actually a pretty sensible thing to do.
Bad. Yeah, absolutely. They also wouldn't let them put out the fires. They actually blocked the firemen from going in there and actually putting out the fires.
They wouldn't let them put out the fires, and the local police, because of the 3 days of rioting, and at that point there had been police officers who had been assaulted, they were being called to the campus. They said, we know we're going to have another night of looting and fires, and they said, we have to protect our own. We can't send all of our officers down there, so they requested the National Guard. The National Guard went in, they ran some dry runs in a field, and they had knives and rocks thrown at them. By the way, none of this is in dispute. There are other things that are in dispute. For example, there may have been some agitators there who deliberately tried to escalate things so that the National Guard fired. Take that, combine it with an old school gas mask. You know what that's like? It's foggy. You can't breathe. Imagine you've been running drills, right, and dry runs, rehearsals, whatever you want to call it, in these open fields while kids are assaulting you throughout the day. Probably be a little bit hectic. Maybe you have some ricochet. Maybe you have some backfire sound because one round gets fired and all of a sudden more. But if you want to believe that this was just the National Guard sent in by Nixon to shoot students for no reason. Oh, one other key fact. Most of the students were exhausted and furious with these activists. They wanted to get to their class, and after 3 days, something had to be done. Not a good thing that students were shot. But we often hear the National Guard was sent in and shot kids. Why were they sent in? Doesn't that matter? No. If 30, 40 years from now they say, look, you had the state police going to Austin, but you don't tell the story of what's happened across the country at Columbia and Harvard and Jews being blocked from even attending their classes, well, then you're simply lying to the people. Just like you're lying to people when you say there was an era of objective journalism, and there isn't. And one final note, I cannot reiterate this enough. If you are wondering, how is this happening across the country, and how am I seeing so many videos out there of these kids who have no idea why they are even there? We've covered this. Go click that video. The protests are organized by Students for Justice in Palestine, who are connected to Hamas-linked nonprofits, organizations, and the government of Qatar, who happens to be the base for Hamas headquarters and is the single largest foreign donor to American universities. Qatar. The money is coming from terrorism. To be clear, these students are useful idiots to them. That is not in dispute. Please reiterate that and let everybody know so that you actually have your eyes wide open. I think it's pretty important for people to know what's going on.
Watch Louder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.